everyone, it is your boy back at it again with another video, and this time we're going to be excuse me, looking at the book of Enoch, like first Enoch. So people are looking at Enoch as divine revelation, as an authority, as in scripture, and I'm going to tell you right now that the book of Enoch is not to be taken seriously. It's not good for doctrine, and in fact it actually leads you away from Jesus Christ and the Lord, and I'm going to expose it wide open and explain to you how and why the book of Enoch is not a book to be taken serious, not good for doctrine, not to believe in. And even if it's mentioned in scripture in Jude, I'm going to show you what part is, the history behind it and everything. So I'm just going to blow this thing wide open. So let's jump right into the video. So first we have to go into the first chapter of the book of Enoch and explain and look and read it for itself and for its context. So let's jump right into the book of Enoch and start reading it for what it is. So for chapter 1, the words of the blessing of Enoch. The words of the blessing of Enoch, wherewith he blessed the elect and righteous, who will be living in the days of tribulation, when all the wicked and godless are are to be removed. And Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, took up his parable and said, I saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me. And from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for the remote one, which is for to come. Concerning the elect, I said, and took up my parable concerning them, the holy great one will come forth from his dwelling. The eternal God will tread upon the earth, even on Mount Sinai, and will appear in the strength of his might from the heaven and of heavens. And all shall be smitten with fear, and the watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. And the high mountains shall be shaken, and the high hills shall be made low, and shall melt like wax before the flame. And the earth shall be wholly rent in sunder, and all that is upon the earth shall perish, and there shall be a judgment upon all. But with the righteous he will make peace. He will protect the elect. Mercy shall be upon them. They shall all belong to God. All and they shall be prospered. They shall all be blessed, and he will help them all. Going to the next page, just hold on. And he will make peace with them. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and to destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness, which they have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. So let's get the easy ones out of the way first. So the first thing that he mentions here is that in verse 2, and Enoch, a righteous man, whose eyes were opened by God, took up his parable and said, I saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me. So they were opened by God, or he was shown by angels, showed me, and from them I heard everything, and from them I understood as I saw, but not for this generation, but for a remote one, which is for to come. So these angels, or is it by a God or angels, first off? Because he said, my eyes were opened by God, and then the angel showed me what I heard. Okay? So second, let's take it for what it is, that angels showed Enoch stuff. Okay? Angels showed Enoch stuff. Okay? Angels also showed Joseph Smith stuff. Angels also showed Muhammad stuff. There's also the Sefer HaRazim, a Jewish mythic book that says Noah received revelations from an angel. The Key of Solomon, a spell book, demonic spell book, says that you can get revelations from angels, and says that Solomon received revelations from angels. That is not true. God gave wisdom to Solomon. So right from the get-go, we have this idea that angels showed Enoch stuff. And realistically, if it goes against the Bible, it's not real revelations. And this book goes against the Bible, and I'm going to show you how and why here later on in the video. But as of right now, the foundations are falling apart, and they're going to keep falling apart as we go into this video. So let's start off with scripture, with the foundations of Enoch. Besides the revelations from angels that go against the Bible, we can actually see Enoch in Genesis 5, 21 to 24. Enoch lived 65 years and begot Methuselah. And after he begot Methuselah, Enoch walked with God 300 years. So altogether is 365 years with Enoch walking with God. And he had sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. So Enoch was taken by God. Okay? After 365 years, God took Enoch. Okay? So we gotta go to when the book was written. So Enoch was taken up, and when this book was written, it was between 300 BCE and 100 CE. The first book of Enoch was also known as First Enoch, is generally believed to have been written between 300 BCE and 100 CE. However, some scholars suggest that certain sections may have been composed as late as 200 to 300 CE, and the text is a compilation of several separate works, and its exact dating remains a topic of scholarly debate. Whatever this is, whenever it was made, now I'm not going to get into like scholarly debate over when it was made. Enoch did not write it. Okay, what we do know, it was between the books of Malachi and the books of Matthew, the book of Matthew and Malachi. That period was 400 years. Okay? So, that being said, the book of Enoch was not written by Enoch himself. Enoch was busy being raptured up. And the book of Enoch had to survive Noah's flood and thousands of years. Okay? So, no, the book of Enoch was not written by Enoch, first and foremost. So, one thing that we have to pay attention to is the genealogy and math. Okay, so Enoch was taken up around 987 AA. Nephilim mentioned shortly before Noah's lifetime, around or after 1556 AA. Conclusion: Enoch was taken up about 70 years before Noah was even born, and the Nephilim appear in the narrative during Noah's generation, not Enoch's. So, based strictly on Genesis, Enoch was taken up before the Nephilim even appeared in the Genesis story. That being said, how would whoever this writer was had two books, at least two books? He had the writings of Daniel and he had the Torah. Okay, so that being said, that whoever this writer was taking scriptures out of context. And if he had divine revelations from the angels, he got everything wrong. And this is just the foundations right here. This is just the foundations. Enoch was raptured up. The Nephilim were in the times of Noah, and and all that stuff. So no. So let's get into Genesis 6. So Genesis 6 describes is Genesis 6, 1 to 4 says, "Now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful. They took wives for themselves, and all whom they choose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive and with man forever, for he has indeed flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. So notice Genesis 5 talks about Enoch being raptured up. Based on the genealogy, Enoch was raptured. Around 70 years later, Noah was born. And then when Noah was born, the demons saw the women of men, women, made love with them somehow. I don't know. I don't want to even get on. I don't know. I don't want to get into it. Just keep it to yourself. And they made men of renown, the Nephilim. Okay. Enoch wasn't even around at that time. Okay. Noah was around that time because it was in the days of Noah. Enoch was busy being raptured up and chilling in heaven. So, based on the genealogy, time, and all that stuff, Enoch was busy being raptured up, and Noah and the Nephilim were all around, and that's why God flooded the earth, because the sin was just terrible. Now let's get into Jude, okay? Jude quotes Enoch. Okay, so let's read what Jude has to say. Now Enoch, the seventh from Adam, prophesied about these men, also saying, Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment on all, to convict all who are ungodly among them, of all their ungodly deeds, which they have committed in an ungodly way, and of all the harsh things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Okay, this is exactly what verse 9 says. So we can go back to verse 9. And behold, he cometh with 10,000s of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all, and destroy all the ungodly, and to convict all flesh of all the works of their ungodliness, which have ungodly committed, and of all the hard things which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Right? We have older books than Jude and Enoch put together, and it is Deuteronomy. Okay, let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 33:2. And he said, The Lord came from Sinai and dawned on them from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran, or whatever, and he came with 10,000s of saints from his right hand, came in a fury law for them. Okay, good. And then we know he has Daniel because of the watchers, but Daniel 7:10 says, A fury stream issued and came forth from before him. 1,000 thousands ministered to him. 10,000 times then 10,000 stood before him. The court was seated, and the books were opened. Okay. We can go to Zechariah. Maybe he had Zechariah, I don't know. Zechariah 14:5. Then you shall flee through my mountain valley, for the mountain valley shall reach to Azal. Yes, you shall flee as you have fled from the earthquake in the days of Hezekiah, king of Judah. Thus the Lord my God will come, and all the saints with you. Okay? So we can see here that there's multiple scriptures, Deuteronomy probably being the oldest scripture, older than Enoch, first Enoch, and then older than Jude as well. So what Jude is doing is quoting this passage from Enoch. Okay? Jude is quoting the book of Enoch. This is the simplest and most widely accepted explanation among scholars. Jude 1:14-15 matches 1 Enoch 1:9 almost word for word, and we can see that. That means Jude is quoting a well-known Jewish text, using it as an example his audience already recognized, the same way Paul quotes Greek poets or the Psalms. This does not mean Jude considered considered First Enoch scripture, it means he considered that specific line true and useful, just like Paul quotes pagan poets without endorsing paganism. So we have multiple options here. Enoch is quoting scripture, and it could be from Deuteronomy or the Torah, or it could be from Daniel. Either way, he's quoting scripture, and then Jude quotes that. So you know how you go down the line. Jude quotes Enoch, Enoch quotes Deuteronomy, and so on and so forth. This does not give Enoch divine authority or divine authority to take Enoch seriously in your doctrine. Okay? Apply this to the Bible. Okay? Press this writing against the Bible and watch it fall apart. And now we got to get into the Watchers. So let's get into the Watchers. Okay, so we can go to verse 5 of First Enoch, and all shall be smitten with fear, and the Watchers shall quake, and great fear and trembling shall seize them unto the ends of the earth. Okay. The Watchers are only mentioned in Daniel 4. Okay? The Watchers are a class of angel that God appoints to during Daniel 4 to give Nebuchadnezzar an explanation of his dreams. Okay? We can see this in only Daniel. So Daniel 4:13, I saw in the vision of my mind as I lay in my bed, behold, a watcher, a holy one, descended from heaven. Daniel 4:17, this sentence is by the decree of the watchers and the decision by the word of the holy ones. Daniel 4:27, Nebuchadnezzar again described a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven. These are the only passages in the canonical Bible where the term watcher appears directly. Okay, so let's take this into consideration. Let's apply what Daniel's talking about against what First Enoch is talking about. The watchers will quake in fear. In First Enoch, that is not a biblical watcher. During Daniel 4, the watchers are doing what God says. They are listening to God, obeying God, showing reverence to God, submitting to God, all this stuff. They are not quaked with fear towards God. These watchers are obedient to God. Okay, demons are quake in fear with God, and that's what Enoch is getting at. That these watchers are demonic, but that's not right. Watchers in the Bible are these holy beings that are obedient to God, that love God, that are submissive to God, and all that stuff. Based on what Daniel 4 says, this is just how it is. That being said, the watchers are only found in Daniel 4. The watchers that he's talking about are only found in Daniel 4. What we get a problem with is that Daniel's talking about angelic beings obedient to God, and the watchers in Enoch are demonic. That is simply incorrect. That's not, no. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new about the book of Enoch. I'm really excited for this series because this is just only the one page. And it also has like Gabriel swearing at people and all that stuff. So this is only like the tip of the iceberg. And it just gets worse and worse and worse as we go down and things just fall apart. But realistically, the foundations of the book of Enoch are not even there. Enoch didn't even write it. Enoch wasn't even around during that time. He's taking scriptures out of context and all that stuff. And as for Jude, he does use the line from Enoch about 10,000s, but we can trace that back to at least Deuteronomy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something new. Peace out, players.